This video is on question 16 of the 2012 TSA paper, and here we're asked which option is an implicit assumption on which the argument rests. And this is the passage that we're given. So the author starts out by saying that people who see America as the great Satan forget how it is truly heaving with free debate. After his re-election in 2004, both the public and the media turned on George W. Bush and did so ferociously. Every single day, newspapers revealed polls that were more and more damaging for the president. And bookshops and even major store chains were packed with anti-administration bestsellers. So that's our argument. And we want to find out what the structure of the argument is. A good way to do that is to first identify the conclusion. So have a go at trying to identify the conclusion. Well, it seems as though the last 5 sentences of the passage, 2 to 6, are all facts. And these facts stand in support of a conclusion. And they stand in support of sentence 1, which therefore must be the conclusion. So this should help us come to grips with the structure of the argument. And what exactly this is, we're going to try and find out now. So here I've laid out the facts and the conclusion. Now, what are the facts saying? Well, in simple terms, in basic terms, they're saying that there is opposition to the administration. And what is the conclusion saying? Well, again, in simple terms, it's saying there is free debate. And because this is a conclusion, we want to put a therefore sign here. Therefore, there is free debate. So the argument looks something like this. We have opposition, therefore we have free debate. But there's an assumption here. And we want to know what this assumption is. So, can you tell what this assumption is? Well, it looks like this assumption is going to look like this. Opposition implies free debate, because therefore we have a valid argument. If the author is saying opposition, if we have opposition, we have free debate, then we're going to have free debate if we have opposition. And so this seems to be the assumption on which the author relies. So now we're going to have a look at some options and see if there is one which matches this assumption here. So here we have our 5 options, and here we have what we have proposed as the assumption. So take a look at these 5 options and see if there's one which matches this. Well, it looks like option B matches it. We said that the opposition to the administration implies free debate, that this is the assumption on which the argument relies. And what's B saying? Well, this is saying that if there's opposition, then there must be free debate. So it's saying the same thing. And we can check that this is assumption using the not test. We can say that suppose opposition doesn't imply free debate. Well then, if we go back to the argument, we'll see that the author fails to move from saying there's opposition to saying therefore there's free debate. They need this assumption for their argument to work. So option B looks like it's the assumption. But let's look at the other options just to check. Option A says if free debate is allowed, anti-administration feelings are bound to be expressed. So roughly this is saying that free debate implies opposition to the administration. So this is saying the opposite of what we said here, and so it can't be right. What about C? Well, this says that polls accurately indicate public opinion. Polls are an accurate indicator of public opinion. Well, if we go back to the passage, we'll see that to support their claim that the public turned on George W. Bush, the author says that polls were damaging for the president, or that he wasn't scoring very well in the polls. So it does look like the author is assuming that polls are an accurate indicator of public opinion. However, remember, we're looking for an implicit assumption on which the argument rests. And option C talks about public opinion, which is only one part of the author's argument. Indeed, it only talks about polls, which are an even smaller part of the author's argument. And this is not something on which the author relies on. The argument would still work if this was not the case. And so C is not an assumption. What about D? This says that George W. Bush should never have been re-elected in 2004. Well, the author is not saying what should have happened, they're only saying what has happened, and so D is not relevant. What about E? Well, this says that the Bush administration has encouraged free debate. Now, the author doesn't say this, and they certainly don't assume it. In fact, they make no assumptions about what has caused the free debate, or whether anyone has encouraged it, and so E isn't relevant. And that leaves option B as the correct option.